What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with an update from Derek Lunsford. So all the naysayers who are claiming that Derek will be out from this year's Olympia top 4, they are kind of expecting his legs to look more or less the same as they did at the Pittsburgh Pro this year or at the Olympia last year. Well, you have got to trust the eyes of a guy like Jose Raymond, because as per him, Derek is gonna shock the people with all the new improvements that he has made during all this time after the Pittsburgh Pro this year. And this isn't just him speculating. He saw a picture of Derek's quads and this episode of the Menace podcast that was recorded at 2 weeks out from the Olympia this year. So if his legs are looking dry and big and separated, it's logical to assume that there will be no drastic last-minute protocol which will risk shrinking Derek's quads. So for all the people who have been counting out Derek, I have to say be ready for a surprise. And it isn't like Derek hasn't already proved himself as one of the best bodybuilders of this modern era. He's the only guy in the history of this sport to have won Olympia titles in 2 different divisions. The only guy who has beaten the reigning Olympia champion Samson Dauda, and that was at the Arnold Ohio this year. So a lot of statements were made by Derek earlier this year, especially the one where he said that he's going for that triple crown, and he has done everything in his power to make that become true. And the man has already won 2 out of the 3 of the biggest shows of the year. Now people kind of need to understand that a bigger and a fuller quads on a guy like Derek, that will totally change the outlook of his entire physique. He still has some of the craziest lat to waist ratio, arguably some of the best proportions top to bottom. And if his legs, they are big and full, and he has that same proportion top to bottom, he's gonna be pretty damn hard to beat, because that is going to enhance his V-taper, his X-frame so much. So there is only one thing that needs to be addressed here in regards to Derek. Will he be able to peak the same way as he did for the Arnold Ohio this year? Because if he shows up even slightly off, just the way he did for the Pittsburgh Pro this year against the Mutant, then yes, he can easily slide down outside of that top 3. Playing too hard. Have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. Next up, we have a 1 week out physique update from Tonio Burton. Flawless balance top to bottom, and the man keeps on getting skinless with every passing day. Now I personally think it was extremely close between Tonio Burton and William Bonac earlier this year at the Weight Pro show. So most of us had him beating Bonac, and that is why Tonio Burton has a very realistic chance of placing somewhere between top 8 to top 9 come Olympia this year. So with Behrouz added to this year's Olympia lineup, and the judges clearly saw Behrouz beating Tonio Burton in Dubai, there wasn't enough time for Tonio Burton to make some improvements, and that too up to the extent where he beats a guy like Behrouz. Now we know top 8. That will be a very disappointing placing for Tonio Burton, because as per his own expectations, he wants to be top 5 or even top 4. But just think about the guys Tonio Burton will have to beat in order to place top 8. William Bonac, Brendan Carey, Regan Grimes, Good Vito, Jordan Hutchinson, and so many others. So Tonio is an awesome bodybuilder, extremely symmetrical. The front relaxed pose on him, that is absolute perfection. But the side shots, they are still kind of behind, and so is the most muscular, especially in the chest area. So he's still a bit behind, especially in comparison to a veteran like Brendan Carey. So Tonio Burton looks very similar to a young Dexter Jackson, and the man is on the right path to be in the first Olympia call-out. If not this year, then next year for sure. Next up, we have an update from Josama Beast. Literally one of the most shredded man in that entire classic physique division right now, and across all the bodybuilding at the moment. So the man is looking very dry and very ripped. But the fact is that is something that we expect from him. So he was top 6 last year at the Olympia, which was his Olympia debut. Now, as ripped as the man is looking right now, we can also see the problem From his latest physique update, the quads, although they are very dry, very ribbed and very separated, but he doesn't have that outer quad sweep or the volume on his legs from the front. And that is why he cannot create that ideal X frame, that perfect V-taper, especially in comparison to all these other top guys like Terrence, Mike Sommerfeld. So the chances of him moving up from top 6, they are very tough. Even though we do not have guys like Urs and Chris Bumstead this time, the best he can do in my opinion, that is top 5. But let me know what you guys think. Does he have a shot at beating a guy like Ramondino or Logan Franklin or a guy like Matt Grego, who are gonna be in that potential first call out this year at the Olympia? Next up, we have an update from Hunter Labrada. So if you guys think this year's Olympia top 10, that is stacked, I have to say wait for 2026, when Hunter Labrada, Rafael Brandao, Michael Crizo, they all return. So Hunter is now shifting the gears, and his physique is changing very fast. Plus, this is gonna be his first proper off-season since he turned pro. This is the first time when he took a step back and gave his body the much-needed break, some rest from everything that is required to be a top-level IFBB pro. So he was very open about letting off the gear during the most part of 2025. And in theory, his body is gonna respond faster than ever before whenever he jumps back on his protocol. And it seems like the man is getting back into his groove for 2026 season. Now we know Hunter is a guy who looks absolutely massive on every stage that he steps on. And Hunter at his all-time best, he's a legit Olympia first call-out guy, no matter who's in there. And what's funny is that Hunter has been unable to nail his conditioning 100% so far in his career. He came very close last year at the Olympia when he first stepped on the stage for the prejudging. And those comparisons with the likes of Hadi Chopin, they speak for themselves on how big Hunter truly is. But he just could not hold on to all that conditioning and grittiness all the way through the prejudging. So there has been only one big show that Hunter hasn't done so far throughout his pro career. So if he decides to do the Arnold Ohio next year, that will be a very big storyline. And that will mark the return of Hunter Labrada back to the stage after a gap of about 1.5 years. So will the legend William Bonac, the oldest guy in this year's Olympia lineup, be successful in holding off some of these fiery young competitors for another year? Well, here the man is now posting one of his weakest shot, the front lat spread. Now he's looking very confident, as all the competitors, they post their favorite and most powerful shots, especially this close to the showtime. So with a guy like William Bonac, you just cannot see the density and the muscle quality, especially through a video. So everybody who questioned why William Bonac placed second at Dubai Pro, they did get one response from the people who were there in attendance, that Bonac just looks different in person in comparison to the videos that we saw from Dubai Pro. And that just simply doesn't come close to how round and bubbly Bonac's muscle bellies are. But all that being said, we cannot ignore the fact that William Bonac at this point in his career, he will be very lucky to hold on to his legs and overall muscularity that he already has, while the younger guys who are just entering their primes, they all have a lot more margin in terms of improvements compared to a guy like William Bonac. Now he got a very well-deserved top 7 last year at the Olympia, a placing that no one was expecting him to get. And once again, the man is being ruled out. So where do you guys see William Bonac at this year's Mr. Olympia? Let me know in the comments below, and also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.